Hi guys, it seems that Nigel Farage and Reform UK are too toxic for the Tories, at least at the moment. However, I have this terrible fear that time will heal that wound, and that there are many within the Conservative Party who are itching at the idea of having Farage not just join, but lead the Conservatives into the next general election. Sound heads need to be in charge of the Tories going forward, but we're hearing once again about leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. Here Reform UK's Richard Tice took a potshot at Tory candidate Priti Patel over immigration. Have a listen.
Do you think all of the 6 candidates were right to say they wouldn't do any deals with you or Nigel Farage this week?
Oh, look, I mean, they're all frankly desperate in their own sort of sweet way. I think, frankly, no one's really interested in what's going on in the Tory party. They got annihilated in the election. They seem completely invisible. We're the only people that are actually talking about immigration. Priti Patel seems to have completely given up on it. She's proud of her record of emboldening mass immigration between 2021 until now. And she won't even leave the ECHR. These are things about which actually the majority of the British people, I think, are settled.
Okay, it's not settled about leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. There is no support for leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, or very little support. Now, I fear that this is something that could grow legs if the Conservatives allow it to happen. So this is why it's so important that there's a sound head at the top of the Conservative Party. I'm afraid that's not going to happen, though. You're going to have crazies in charge, and the crazies are going to try and outdo Reform UK. And they're probably going to say, yeah, we need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, or we need to have a referendum on immigration, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. So they're going to try and out Reform UK. And we've seen already how well that has worked. But I think, so in the medium term, we're going to see a bit of a battle taking place between Reform UK and the Conservatives. But this could change come a by-election. This could change when the general election rolls around. And this is what we're talking about in the distant future. But they could form some sort of pact. They could engage in tactical voting in order to help a Reform UK candidate or to help a Conservative candidate. But it depends on who's going to be at the top of the Conservative Party. So if it's someone like Robert Jenrick, who'd be probably happy to have Nigel Farage on board, Priti Patel maybe less so, Tom Tugendhat certainly not. So it depends on who the Conservatives appoint as their next leader, whoever wins that contest. We're going to have to wait probably until November for that. But it will determine the future of the Conservative Party, if they're going to move in the direction of Reform UK again, or if they're going to try to move back to the centre and ignore Reform UK. Because if they ignore it, Reform will, of course, double down on immigration. They're going to double down on the idea of leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. They're going to attack the Labour Party for spending too much money, to selling out to trade unions or whatever, raising taxes. So they're going to try and present themselves as an alternative to the two mainstream parties. So it's going to be interesting to see how much they gain from that, if there are enough people to come out and vote for that, or people will stick with Labour and the Conservatives. But it will be determined by who is the next leader of the Conservatives. If it's somebody on the far right, then you're going to see perhaps Nigel Farage join the party, some sort of pact with Reform UK at a by-election. If not, you're going to see the party move back to the centre and an isolation of Reform UK. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.